Hi guys, it's Courtney. So I know I've had a few requests to kind of do like an intro class for for inversions and kind of like some really good strength drills to do if you're ready to start to go upside down, if that's either crow or forearm stand or headstand or handstand. I'll go through a couple basics just for each of them, kind of so wherever you are in your practice, you just have a couple drills to do just to help you with strength and alignment and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be a lot of talking, but if you're doing kind of it along with me, you can kind of, maybe when I say something and it kind of clicks with you, you're like, oh, well that makes sense, and then you'll do it, and maybe you'll kind of have like this shining light moment where it just kind of helps you a little bit or gives you kind of the confidence to go upside down maybe. And you definitely don't have to go upside down, and I actually probably won't go upside down while I'm teaching this, just because it's a little bit harder to go upside down when you're at home and not in a studio with a teacher. Can you not do that with you and kind of helping you and looking out for you? So maybe just using these drills right now for your practice, and then once you get into the studio, maybe then using them to go upside down, just so we kind of all stay safe during all this. So a really good one. All right, you can move. Thank you very much. A really important thing that you kind of use through your crow practice or your forearms and even handstands, not so much headstands, but is like the wrists. So you really want to kind of work the wrists out a good amount, and that's kind of like the first stage. Can you not? I'm gonna go over there. Good. All right, so using kind of some time in the beginning of your practice, just to kind of work your wrists out, roll them out, stretch the bottoms of the wrists, stretch the fingers, stretch the knuckles, and just kind of shake everything out. So usually handstands and crow is like a really big wrist flexion, which means you have pretty much a 90-degree angle in your wrists. And some people kind of don't have that wrist flexion off the bat. So when they start doing inversions, they're kind of like, whoa, my wrists really hurt. Which you use them more than you do in your regular practice, so you will feel that, but you just want to give them some time to kind of work themselves out. And then a big thing is just kind of opening up the shoulders a little bit. So there's a lot of shoulder flexion and a lot of shoulder expansion that goes on in your inversions. So you want to maybe take a few cats, take a few cows, just kind of roll everything out. And this class is if you've maybe already had a warm-up, or maybe you've taken a vinyasa class before this, or just some sort of movement, so you're not really starting like some strength drills and not really having been moving at all, you know. So you just want to maybe stop this and just go take a little warm-up, take a little bit of a flow, maybe a couple sun sals. I did a power class right before this, so my cheeks are all red. But so you kind of just want to start with the shoulders. Maybe sending, kind of getting the feeling of sending the shoulder blades together, sending them apart. And we'll kind of start with crow first. So in crow, it's almost like a lifted malasana. So malasana is a squat. So when you get into crow, you want to put a lot of weight onto the fingertips. So if you kind of get into crow and all the weight is on the backs of the wrists and the fingertips are just kind of hanging out, you're dumping all this weight that you're holding onto the arms straight down into the wrists. So this goes for handstand too. So you want to start to get into the process of putting on a lot of weight into the fingertips, kind of into the knuckles, instead of just kind of, you kind of have space underneath the palms and you're sinking back into the wrists. You want to stay nice and kind of suction down to the ground and a lot of weight into the fingertips. So you can almost start to come into malasana, kind of bring the hands down. You don't want them super close in you because then you have nowhere to go. So you want to bring them out a little forward and then start to kind of just roll back and forth. So feel the weight come onto the fingertips, kind of feel the weight come out of the toes. So you're taking all the weight from the lower body and really bringing it forward. That's all crow is. Crow is a very forward moving inversion. And I consider it inversion because your feet are up off the ground and you're holding yourself up. Hips tend to get a little bit higher than the head, which is what I would call an inversion. So kind of feeling the weight a little bit, going back and forth. And then eventually there's crow and crane. I believe, and I have learned that crow They're almost the same thing. Crow is with the knees on the backs of the arms. Crane is with the knees on the outsides of the arms. So you can do either or. Maybe if you're starting crow, crane might be a little bit easier. So you'll take the knees on the outsides of the arms and you want to pull in. So the knees are pulling into the midline and the arms want to pull out into the knees. So that kind of gives you like this whole like kind of in through the legs and into the arms. And that kind of gives you a little bit of stability. But if you're finding crow, which is the knees on the backs of the arms, you're finding bent elbows. Kind of bent elbows regardless. So they're almost like chaturanga arms. So taking a moment, finding which one you want to do first. I'll do the ones on the outside first. So I want you, maybe if you have a pillow or a blanket, you can take it out in front of you. I almost want you to keep the weight forward and maybe fall forward and kind of catch yourself to come down instead of never having the ability to come forward and you always stay kind of grounded down through the toes. So I'd rather you maybe, oh my God, you lift up and then you come down and it's a more forward position. So that's why you have like the pillow or the blanket out in front, which is a good thing to have when you're practicing crow because you're gonna have a couple wipeouts, which is okay, you need them to learn. So crane, crow, you're gonna have the knees on the outsides of the arms. You're gonna pull the shoulders back so the backs of the shoulder blades are reaching down and you're gonna reach the chest all the way out in front. So you don't want the shoulder points to kind of hug in towards the ears. You want them to open up and send their way back. And this is where you kind of lean forward and you maybe pick up one toe, one foot. Maybe you can lift up the other. So as soon as you get up, you're gonna feel all this weight kind of come into the arms. So you wanna still be lifting up, but kind of lunging forward. And you wanna feel like you're taking the heels up towards the glutes. So if the knees are on the backs of the arms and you're finding crow, same thing. You're lunging forward, all the way it comes out of the toes and you're lifting the heels up. Whew. Maybe if you have blocks at home, you can put them under the feet so you're a little bit higher here, but you want the hips to lift up. So if the hips stay low, you kind of have nowhere to go. So you want the hips to kind of lift up with you, put the weight into the fingertips, roll yourself forward. The knees are going to slide down regardless. So you try to get the knees up as high as you can up into the underarms. So when they do slide down, they're still on the arms. So when you do that, and you come forward, and you maybe lift up, you reach the chest forward, lift the heels up, kind of send this inner pull of energy in the midline, and then maybe you'll get it. So you'll maybe start with one foot, maybe start with the other. Totally okay, whichever one you find first. Good. All right, roll everything out, stretch out the legs. This is like a very fast-paced kind of couple strength things. So when you're in Malasana, maybe that's your kind of chance to try crow a couple times. A really good drill for that is reclined crow. So you can be on the back. I want to crank my clip here, but you can lay on the back and then pull the knees into the backs of the arms. So you're condensing the low belly in. You're crunching in the abs. This is all kind of ab work too, honestly. So the arms will come up, flex the wrists, just like if they were on the ground, and then pull the knees to the backs of the arms and kind of hold yourself there. That is crow, right there. Good. Maybe extend out to come in. Extend out to come in. A couple times. Just kind of get used to that crunching in through the mid-core. Bringing the knees as high as you can up to the arms. Bending the elbows a little bit. Eventually in crow and crane, the arms will get a little bit straighter, but that's kind of once you have the balance, once you have the strength. So kind of taking your time. Whew. You don't have to do a lot of those to start to feel them. Good. So that's the kind of a couple tips for crow, I guess you could say. So a lot of weight on the fingers. Lift the hips up nice and high. Start to pull yourself forward. If the knees on the outsides are squeezing in and you're squeezing the arms out, you're kind of broadening through the base of the neck and just kind of playing around with it, seeing what you got there. Good. All right, into forearm stand, which I think is next. I like to practice next. So forearm stand, you're gonna wanna do a lot of dolphins. And you're like, oh God, dolphin. Dolphin's hard, but Dolphin is a really, really good one to kind of get your body working and get that strength in to find that forearm stand. Forearm plank is also a really good one to do. So start to get comfortable on the forearm. So a lot of people, you can either find forearm plank with the arms parallel, you can intertwine the fingers, maybe, it's probably one or the other. So maybe palms down or intertwine the fingers. And then get up into your dolphin. So dolphin is down dog. You'll drop the forearms. Keep the hips high, maybe looking back, shaking out the head so you releases the neck, and then walk the feet in a little bit. That's your dolphin pose. So in forearm stand, you want to try to get the shoulders right over the elbows. So you don't want to be too far forward because then you're just kind of dropping onto the forehead. And you want to be all the way back here because eventually when you do kick up, which we probably won't do, you want all the way to come forward but stop kind of when the shoulders are over the elbows. So a really good drill to do is maybe lifting one leg, feeling the balance, maybe shifting forward, shifting back. Same thing, pressing into the fingertips, especially the index finger and the thumb, and just kind of playing with the weight. The hips eventually want to come up over the shoulders, so you start to get kind of this stacked feeling where you get feet over the hips, hips over the shoulders, shoulders over the elbows. So you kind of get this little kind of straight line. If you are going up and you're at the studio, maybe finding a wall kind of to be in front of you, which is a really good one, just to, if you do go too far forward, you have the wall to catch you. But doing a lot of dolphins is like the #1 thing that you can start to really work on. So lifting the legs, maybe bending the bottom knee, coming forward, finding these dolphin holds, finding forearm plank, starting to take all the weight out of the fingers, maybe one arm forearm plank. So you want kind of the shoulders to broaden, and you want to get really kind of heavy into the forearms. So eventually when you do come up, maybe not do it, but I'll kind of try to show you. Little baby hops. And then you try to get stacked. Trying, attempting, breathing. So eventually you kind of want to try to parallel the arms, so eventually come in. I like to do forearm stand with my fingers intertwined, but that's a personal preference, and maybe you'll find one easier than the other. But you're starting to kind of feel that maybe you take it into side forearm planks. And you feel the ribs pull in. You want to feel the ribs pull in a little bit. You don't want to drop the ribs out. So side plank is a really good one to do to kind of get that alignment, get that stackiness feeling. Then maybe switching sides. Good. Once you kick up onto a wall, you kind of want the head to be long. So you don't want to be in forearm plank and then really looking forward because then you're going to crank the neck. So you want the head to be long. Maybe you start with little bunny hops so that one leg lifts in that dolphin. Bottom knee is bending. Maybe little baby hops. Baby hops, so no really hop jump ups. They're just little. So you want that top leg to be really engaged, really strong, and you're going to take those little baby hops. And that's kind of the first step. That's where I really like to start with people, just so they can feel kind of the weight come out of the feet and into the upper body, which is a weird feeling, I guess you could say, when the weight that we've been walking around all day is in the feet and that it's all in the arms, and your arms are holding up your whole kind of weight of your body. It's a little bit, it's different. It's a different feeling. So really working on dolphin is a good one. Headstand. I have a love-hate relationship with headstand. Headstand is something that I think you should physically practice with a teacher or with an instructor that really, really knows what they're doing, because headstand is a really easy way to be honest, like hurt yourself. Some people don't have the strength in the neck to kind of take the weight onto the head. because a lot of weight does come onto the top of the head, and if you don't have the strength in the neck to kind of hold yourself strong, you kind of dip everything down and then you kind of crunch the vertebrae in the neck. It's not really a good feeling. So a lot of instructors don't like to teach headstand, and I totally agree with that, because I feel like you can get all the other kind of highs out of inversions without being on your head. You can do forearm stands and handstands and kind of learning variations of them. And headstand, I'd like to show you tips of all that kind of stuff. I know there's a billion other videos on YouTube that I know you can find to help you with that. But I think if you want to really get into forearm stand and really kind of hold that one down and really get it, then maybe you can start to take your practice and go into headstand. But it takes some time. Headstand takes some time. So ace forearm stand, maybe try a couple handstand things, and then maybe once you get into a bunch of practices and a bunch of vinyasas and classes and you feel like you've built up that strength in your neck, then you can definitely do it. But a good thing if you have a wall and you can kind of get into your forearm stand, like if I have a wall here, I wish the camera was facing this way. A really good way to get into your forearm stand is to kind of lift up, and then maybe one leg comes up. Once you've kind of getting past the little bunny hop stage, you'll kind of start to get that bent knee to come into the chest. So that bent knee into the chest helps you kind of take that weight out of the last couple kind of weight into the bottom foot up into the upper body. So it'll be really good to have you practice against a wall, because when you do go up against the wall and you take that foot with the bent knee up to the wall, you kind of, it feels okay. It feels like you're still supported. So it's maybe starting to find a lot of practice in Dolphin, knee in, finding the strength, doing a couple drills, other side. Good. Doing a lot of plank, knee to tricep. That's a really good one. So forearm stand is core too, because you're kind of zipping up all this kind of energy and ab work, and you're pulling it up, because forearm stand, any inversion, you're lengthening kind of from the ground point all the way up towards the sky. So a lot of core work, be practicing up against a wall, get into that dolphin, kind of feel the weight come from the elbows to the fingers, get the stacking feeling, kind of try to get the shoulders kind of away from the ears, so kind of press yourself away. A lot of inversion is pressing yourself away from the ground, so trying to get taller and trying to hold and find balance. And then handstand, told you this is a very fast couple pointers. Handstand is, I'm still working on my handstand, and I feel like I'll be still working on my handstand for a long time. But you really want to get into this down dog position. And then start to maybe walk the feet in a little bit and start to kind of get used to taking tuck jumps. That's all these are. Good. So you want to start to feel that you're okay with the wrists and you're okay using your whole arm for strength. So forearm, you're just using your forearm, you're using your full arm, but all the weight is into the forearm. Handstand, you're putting all the weight into the full arm. So starting to kind of get into, one good way to do it is to walk all the way up as much as you can while still keeping the arms engaged. And then take your tuck jumps from here. So engage the core, press the palms down, lengthen through the arms, and tuck jumps. They don't have to be big. They could be little. Good. So you'll kind of start to feel, okay. This is kind of the basis of what it feels like. Good. And then starting to feel, once you're in handstand, or you kind of get those tuck jumps good, you kind of get into your down dog, walk one foot in, lift the other leg, take little baby hops coming from the bottom toes. Engage top leg, just like forearm. and then starting to find your balance. So these just take a lot of like constant repetitions of going up, coming down, going up, coming down. But same thing, spreading the fingers, bending the knuckles, which they call spider fingers, just to help you with the balance. So really, what's a really good strength drill I like to do? Pike presses are a really good one. So you'll come into your down dog. You'll walk the feet in a little bit and then drop the knees. So you kind of want the wrist kind of towards the top of the knees, but you want to have some space. Keep the toes tucked. Lift up for pike press. Come all the way back down. Lift up for pike press. Come all the way back down. So do this a couple times. Start to feel you kind of lift up. Stretch through the shoulders. Lift up nice and high. Take all the weight onto the hands instead of the toes. Really good one to do. Good, and then coming back down. So you want that stacked feeling as well. So feeling like you're trying to get the hips over the shoulders. So maybe those little tuck jumps, you can start to get a little bit higher. Tuck yourself up. Come all the way back down. Once you tuck, you're pulling up. But starting with the tuck jumps first. So kind of feeling that when you're laying down, stretch the arms up just like you do in that crow. Feel kind of everything start to lift up. You want the wrist right under the shoulders. Good. So everything wants to be square. So maybe holding it here for a little bit. Kind of feeling how long you can do this. Easier said than done. Good. And then a way to kind of get comfortable in handstand is to do LStand against the wall. So maybe I'll show you with a chair. You'll do this with a wall, but my camera we don't have a wall. So we're gonna pretend this was the wall. So you kind of will be backwards against the wall. You'll take the hands down and you'll walk one foot up to the wall, and then you'll walk maybe the other foot up against the wall. I kind of want you to see me. So we call this LStand. Eventually when you get up, look at this, half the body's in handstand. The feet will want to be in line with the hips. So it's a little bit higher than my chair. But LStand is a really good way to kind of start to kind of engage all the strength in the upper body. And then once you kind of get into LStand and you feel comfortable and you stack everything, you can start to lift one leg up and start to find maybe that straight line. Shake out the head, press into the fingertips. And kind of start from there. So it's good to have a wall to practice. Find the LStands, find the pike presses, take the little tuck jumps, maybe from down dog to tuck jump, back, maybe tuck jumps up to the top of the mat. But you really want to start to, kind of with any inversion, you want to start to take the weight out of the feet and up into the upper body. So you need that upper body strength first to be able to do that. And that's something that takes time. That's not, it's not instant. So, headstand is like that completely other universe type pose that you'll eventually get to, but starting to find a lot of planks, find a lot of knee to nose, kind of take some protracting of the shoulders, which means the shoulder blades are not crunched in and they're reaching out, because you want to do that same thing whether you're in handstand, whether you're in forearm stand, eventually headstand, and then you kind of want to get the shoulders to open up a little bit, because you could be stuck in handstand and really never get up. So if you open up and find the strength, you'll be able to find that. I'm trying to think of some other tips for you guys. Learning to breathe is a really big one, so we can do a lot of inversion stuff and kind of hold our breath once we get up, because we're like, oh, we got up, oh my god, this is awesome. But to find balance and to kind of be comfortable in these poses. You want to breathe. So it's just like your regular vinyasa class or kind of any class you take. You want to breathe through the poses, breathe through the movement. Finding a lot of core work, working out the wrists, some LStands against the wall. Use the wall. The wall is your friend. Even crow against the wall. You can take the head to the wall and just kind of feel kind of the weight come into the arms and out of the feet and out of the legs. What else? That's pretty much it for a good beginner basis for this kind of stuff. So once you start to feel comfortable in this, like you can hold yourself up, then you start to take like extra kicks and you start to find some hang time and you're kind of up there for a little bit. That's kind of like another video that I could do if you guys want that. So it's kind of like in stages. This is the first stage. You're taking a shift of weight. So we're taking it, just like I said, from the feet and from the legs now to the upper body and to the arms and the wrists and the fingers. So that's the first stage. And just kind of going through them and feeling that you can hold yourself and be okay. And then the second stage is kind of getting a little bit bigger jumps into tuck jumps or up into forearm stand. I kind of like to bring the knee into the chest. So when I'm in handstand, I pull one knee in just to kind of find that balance. So that's kind of like another stage. I do that in forearm stand too. One knee into the chest, and then you kind of find some hang time. That is a part of the second stage. So where you kind of take that weight and then distribute it kind of through the parts of the body that are on making contact with the ground. And then this third stage, which takes us a long time to get to, is just holding yourself there and finding balance. And honestly, that just takes a lot of practice, and this stuff really doesn't come instantly. It takes a lot of time. But I hope that, or this is kind of a good intro to the basics. So maybe you're not kicking up, you're just finding the alignment in all these poses. So feeling that you're pulling the chest still towards the thighs in forearm stand. Shoulders kind of over the elbows. Into that dolphin, walking the feet in as much as you can, keeping the hips high. If you're in crow, you're shifting forward. Handstand, you're still shifting forward. You see there's like a thing here where we're shifting forward? But, so this is a really good kind of intro for strength and all that kind of stuff. And then I will try to, if you guys want it, let me know, and I'll do a second video. But kind of keep yourself busy, really practice this stuff, and you'll eventually see a difference. It'll take some time, but you'll see it. So keep on practicing with that stuff. Let me know if you want anything else. And then if you have questions, you can always reach out to me, and I can always help you as much as I can at home. But once you get into the studio, just kind of while you're at home, really just do a lot of strength up, do a lot of core work, do a lot of wall work, and just be comfortable with the wall first, and then you can kind of get away from the wall. But kind of use that stuff that you do now at home, and then you'll eventually bring it to the studio, and you'll kind of feel really strong that you can go upside down sometimes. So, alright guys, thank you. I will see you next video. Let me know if you have any other questions or comments or ideas, and I will bring them into a video. Alright, bye guys, thanks.